Hello, this is Reddithin, and welcome to our first ever game in the NPL. In case you missed my update video from a while back or saw it all over Twitter or anything, I am in NPL Minors now, taking over for David, who coached the FC Populio, I said that wrong, the FC Populio, there we go. He got promoted to Majors, and I took over his team, so yeah, exciting things. I'd like to thank especially Trev and Jolt for giving me the opportunity to be in minors, because it's something I really wanted to do for a long time, and I think I am ready to show that that I'm capable of being in what I believe is the most competitive league in the world. So yeah, I don't mean to be cocky or anything. I'm saying I still have much to prove, but I'm very happy to be able to get this opportunity to prove myself. So yeah. Enough of that, let's get into our matchup, because that is what this video is about, and we are playing Parker and the North Carolina Tyranitarheels. So let's go into the matchup real quick before I get into the team. So pretty much with this matchup, basically my strategy was do not die to Megalop, because if you look at my team, yeah, I do not appreciate Megalop very much. Pretty much I have a lot of stuff that can take a high jump kick, but those things do not want to take a return, and I mean that's usually how Megalop is, but it's kind of a it's not really something I enjoy dealing with. So yeah, Megalop is kind of the first thing that I was really afraid of. The rest of his team I think is really good, but nothing that really I felt was too scary. Volcanion was kind of spooky because my really real natural switch into that was the Rotom. But other than that, I feel like I had an alright matchup against his team. It's just Megalop absolutely destroyed me. So when I'm going over the team, we'll see that I kind of had a lot in mind to make sure that I just didn't get completely destroyed by that thing. So anyway, let's go into the team. So first up, I have Scarf Chomp with Earthquake, Outrage, Stone Edge, and Stealth Rock. I initially, I actually changed this team around a lot. I had a lot of different ideas, but I decided to settle on Scarf Chomp. I initially had more of a physically defensive set with Indoor and Rocky Helmet. However, I did decide to change it at Scarf at the last minute, just because just looking at the calcs, this thing, being physically defensive didn't really matter much anyway, because it was pretty much dying in 2 hits to the lop anyway. If it was switching in, so it really didn't. Just being Fizz Def was kind of a waste, because really the only thing I really needed that for was the lop. It would help for the Alolan Grimer, or not the Alolan Grimer, the Alolan Muck too, but even then it wouldn't be too spooky. And then I just felt that being a Scarf would give it much more utility, because it can switch in on Lop, and then it can also revenge it with a Choice Scarfed Outrage or Earthquake if it's weakened enough, and of course the Rough Skin would help a lot with that too. And then I just got the Outrage because his only Fairy type is Gardevoir, and Gardevoir is scary, but I figured that Gardevoir is I figured once the Gardevoir is gone, then Outrage is just gonna do tons of damage. And then we just got the Stone Edge there, mainly just for the Zapdos. But yeah, Outrage guaranteed I could 2KO Celebi, so I figured it was worth the risk there. And then I just put Stealth Rock on there, because I figured Dragon Claw wouldn't be that useful, just because looking at what it can do damage to, it just didn't seem like it did enough to really warrant being on this set. So I just decided to put Stealth Rock on there because nothing else on my team really wanted to carry Stealth Rock. We'll get into the Marowak set in a minute about that, but just getting Rocks up is really nice, because its only form of removal is the Zapdos and the Donphan, and both of those are very good. However, forcing them to either spin or defog will allow me to switch in my other stuff, because my team just kind of lacks switch-ins to both of those. So forcing them to do that is really nice. And then overall, just having Stealth Rocks up is really nice for the Volcanion, because the Volcanion is really spooky. So next up we have this is actually a bit of a combo with our Poison Bimbo. Thank you to Mio for the nickname. And our boneless Marowak, I am so sorry. No, I'm not. But anyway, so these two were kind of put on at the same time as a bit of a duo. So this thing has no attacking moves, as you can see. Sub-agility, Sleep Powder, and Baton Pass. With the wide lens, just so I don't miss Sleep Powder, because that'd be pretty sucky. And the rest, and then we got enough speed to outspeed the, I believe the Gardevoir? Yes, I believe there's enough speed to outspeed a max speed Gardevoir. And then then we can get the Sleep Powder, we agility up, we set up the sub, and then if we're lucky with the sleep turns, we Baton Pass into the Marowak, and like really, he actually has nothing for this thing at +2, like literally 0. And I kind of messed around with like a lot of different stuff, and I figured that this was really my best way to try to break down his team, because just like just to look at my like what I had to work with, there was really nothing else that kind of just punched through his team. Like the the Garchomp had checks, the Hoopa had checks, of course, like the Pursuit on the Alolan Muck and all that. This was really like the one thing on my team that he really just didn't have like much of an answer for. So I figured with this Jolly and 236 invested in speed, it actually outspeeds max speed Megalop. So once I get so if I can Baton Pass this thing behind a sub, I can set up SD, and then I pretty much just go to town with Flare Blitz, Bone Ring, and Fire Punch, because like that I really don't need any other moves. I decided to put a Flare Blitz and Fire Punch on there, just because I really wanted the Lightning Rod, because looking at my team, I don't really have anything that really wants to switch into Zapdos. I really need Shaman to stay healthy, because it's like my only decent Lop switch in. I needed Chomp. Chomp, of course, does not like an HP Ice. So I really just wanted this thing because Zapdos can't touch it, and potentially I just can set up a Swords Dance on that thing, which is really nice. But yeah, if I'm able to Baton Pass, speed in this thing, and set up, then he really just has nothing to deal with it. So yeah, that was kind of my main strategy. But we'll go in through the rest of the team, because I did have some backup plans, because of course I'd never rely on something that risky for like my entire strategy. So next up we have Crobat Frick the World, because that's what FTW stands for. And you got a Brave Bird, Super Fang, Defog, and a Roost. I mainly just wanted this thing for Defog, because I really wanted the Venomoth to not get worn down and be able to set up as much as I can. I did not want the Marowak to take rocks damage, because I needed to set up SDs and click Flare Blitz and stuff. So this was really my best option for removal, because Kabutops is I'm not a huge fan of Kabutops, to be honest. But anyway, I got a Super Fang, because I figured that his main switch-ins to this thing would be the Zapdos or the Donphan, and or the Registeel, and none of those appreciate a Super Fang. Of course, the Donphan and the Registeel do not have recovery, and then and the Zapdos has Roost, but forcing it to Roost is really nice, especially if I already have Rocks up, so I can just switch into Marowak and then threaten it out. So it either has to defog and pretty much die, or it has to switch out and then take even more Rocks damage and not able to get rid of the Rock anyway. So Super Fang is just overall pretty nice. And then I just got Brave Birds, because it lets me actually kill stuff. And of course this thing can live any one move from Mop, and then do a ton of damage to Brave Bird. I don't believe it actually, yeah, it doesn't actually OHKO, but it does enough to the point where I can revenge it. Next up is Mega Gallade, and this was kind of my backup in case Marowak didn't work, with the Drain Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, and Bulk Up. Because this thing actually, once I'm able to get a Bulk Up, there's really not much he can do to really take this thing out, other than the Gardevoir. Because, of course, the Lop, after a defense boost, is not going to be able to do too much, and then I can just gain all that health back with Drain Punch. Of course, the Zapdos, once I weaken enough or like get Rocks up, anything, it's really not going to appreciate an Ice Punch, and I can't really do much back anyway, because look at that special bulk. The Alolan Muck, of course, is just going to die to an Earthquake, and even if it does get get a hit off. Of course, I have a +1 defense boost. Celebi. Celebi can do things like Thunderwave and stuff, but like with Zapdos, if I weaken enough, then just has Ice Punch. Volcanion is not going to appreciate a +1 Earthquake. Actually, though, the Frostlass could be a problem too. I forgot the Frostlass, but even still, it's not that strong, so I can still live a hit and then do a ton of damage back with a Earthquake. And then, of course, the rest just really just don't appreciate any of these moves. So, yeah, really, if I was able to like wear down his team enough, then Gallade can really come in and clean up. So that was my backup in case the Marowak strategy didn't work, and I felt it was pretty just solid in general. So, and finally is the Shaman, physically defensive, Rocky Helmet with a Seed Flare, HP Bug, Synthesis, and Leech Seed. This was my only, literally my only lop switch in on my team, pretty much. Like, this thing can take 2 high jump kicks, and that's like the only, literally the only lop switch in. Like the only thing that doesn't get 2K'd on my team. So yeah, I was kind of forced into bringing this, but it does have like a pretty good matchup anyway, because it will take Rocky Helmet damage, which is really, really nice, and I could just set up the Synthesis as it tries to switch out, or I could set up Leech Seed, and the Leech Seed is pretty nice because the Zapdos, even if it does have Heat Wave, it's really not going to be doing too much, and then Leech Seed plus Synthesis will be able to stall it out so I can get it to full and then switch out into something else, such as the Marowak. The Alolan Muck, of course, I can't really do much to it, but if I Leech Seed it on the switch, then it allows other stuff to switch in. Just Leech Seed overall is pretty nice. Then we just got the Seed Flare and HP Bug. I had the option to do Earth Power over HP Bug to hit the Registeel and the Alolan Muck, but I decided to do HP Bug in the end just because the Celebi just flat out walled this set, and considering Celebi was actually kind of a threat, and I wanted to weaken it as much as possible for the Gallade, then HP Bug just seemed to make the most sense, because Registeel had switches, Alolan Muck, I didn't really have that many switch-ins, but I mean, Crobat was good enough, I guess. Especially if I got the Leech Seed, then Crobat could take it on with like the Super Fang and everything. So HP Bug just seemed to be the better option. So yeah, that was actually a really long explanation. If you watched all of it, good for you. But anyway, let's go into the battle. So as we see, he did not bring the Donphan, which I was kind of afraid of, but I'm glad he didn't bring it. He also didn't bring the Frostlass, which I was also kind of like low-key afraid of, because I don't really have any switch into that. I pretty much just died to it, so yeah, I'm glad he didn't bring that either. But yeah, so not bringing the Donphan was actually pretty big, because that was like one of the main things on his team that could handle Marowak nicely and like stop my sweep and everything, so not having that around is really nice. So anyway, let's just go right into the battle as I lead off with Crobat. He leads off with the Alolan Muck. I decided to lead off with the Crobat because if he let off with the, well, really like anything he let off with doesn't really want to take a Super Fang. Even if he let off the Volcanion, I don't really have many like switch-ins for it anyway, so I was kind of like throwing caution to the wind there, but getting a Super Fang off on anything would be nice. If you led with the Zapdos, Marowak easily switches in, so or if you led with the Gardevoir, well, that would have been bad, but great commentary on my part right now. But yeah, I was kind of just hoping he wouldn't lead with the Gardevoir. It seemed like kind of not something you usually lead, just in case I was like Rock's lead Marowak. So yeah, he does decide to lead with the Muck, as I'm just going to go for the Super Fang, because really I did not know what kind of set this was. I didn't really have anything that wanted to lose an item or anything, so I decided to stay in and go for the Super Fang. This thing couldn't do too much to me back, unless it had Stone Edge, but even at Stone Edge, that can just keep roosting until it either misses or I get back up to a reasonable range. So yeah, he's actually reveals he is Acid Spray set, so really interesting Alolan Muck set. I see why he brought it, considering I have the Klefki, because he can run Fire Blast to hit that. But yeah, really interesting set overall. Not really too sure why he decided to bring it, because I figured that Pursuit for like Hook and Bound would be much better, but anyway, it works in this case because it beats Crobat a lot, a lot better, as we'll see in a minute. As I just got Super Fang again so I can kill next to the Brave Bird, but I miss. Great start to Miners, as that Crobat's going to take 68 from a Dark Pulse, so I can't stay in here. I'm just going to go to my Garchomp because I knew that this thing would not be able to do too much. Even if it had the HP Ice, it would not even come close to killing, so I'm just free to go for my Stealth Rocks here because I figured there was no way he was going to stay in as I do that. And now I'm just going to go into my Boneless Marowak. Okay, I swear I won't do that too much. I mean, actually, I shouldn't swear that, but anyway, he's going to go for the Defog. This Zapdos no way has anything to touch this Marowak because the only thing it could potentially have was like the HP Rock or something, but even then it just gets walled by Garchomp. And considering this matchup, I figured Garchomp would be a much bigger threat to him. So yeah, I didn't expect him to run anything to touch this thing. So I'm pretty much just free to go for attack. I just actually go for the Boomerang. Like I make the big boy play, and that might seem weird because had he stayed in, then I would have just not. I would have just like done actually literally 0 damage, but it's considering that this thing like literally just could not touch this thing outside of like HP Ice and Heat Wave, both of which would do 0. I figured that I really had no reason not to go for Boomerang because he wouldn't stay in because his Zapdos really is like his best switch in for Garchomp, and like if he loses that, then like then he really does not have anything that really wants to deal with Garchomp very well. Even the Celebi, of course, doesn't want to take an Outrage. Nothing else wants to take an Earthquake. So, yeah, it as well as the Gallade. So I knew that the Zapdos was really, really crucial to him. So he wouldn't want to risk taking like a huge Flare Blitz damage. So I figured either he switched in, if he could make a big boy play and go into Celebi, which would have been unfortunate, but really overall just Boomerang was the play because Volcanion is really the only thing on his team that I really just can't switch in like at all. So if I was able to get the prediction right and then get the Boomerang off, then that would be really huge for me in this battle. So thankfully for me it works out, and he takes a ton from that damage. It doesn't kill because I'm Jolly, of course, but so yeah, now I'm just actually going to sack the Crobat. I figured he was probably going to go for the Steam Eruption, but I didn't want to risk losing my Shaman because it's my only lap switch in. So here we're just going to go into Gallade, and I'm going to take it out with the Drain Punch. And Celebi, I knew that this thing could have like 2A or like Dazzling Gleam or like Shadow Ball or something. Does it learn Dazzling Gleam? I don't know. I meant to say Shadow Ball, but I might get that too. Anyway, so I'm just going to my Shaman. If it decides to do Status Me, then I have the Natural Cure. So I'm just going to go for the HP Bug here as he goes for the U-turn and takes some Rocky Helmet damage, which is pretty nice. So the HP Bug actually crits the Muck, but it doesn't really matter too much because it's a Muck. Here he's actually going to go for the HP Ice. I figured he could have it in, so Venomoth is just the play at that point to me. Even if he had the Fire Blast, then my investment allowed me to actually live it. So Venomoth was not dying to this Muck anytime soon. So here I'm actually just free to go for a Sleep Powder. He could have gone to the Celebi, but considering this thing is a Bug type and Celebi is quad weak to Bug, that just seemed like way too reckless for him to make. So I'm actually just going to go for the Agility. So I'm going to go for the Sweep right away here, but after calcing it, I knew that this Marowak and my Gallade would both take way too much from return. And if he had the Quick Attack, then both would die there. So I did not want to risk that, so I'm actually just going to Baton Pass into the Shaman here, because I can get off that Speedy Synthesis, and this can't kill me anyway. So this Lop is just going to take some damage here. I'm just going to go for the Synthesis. I was actually decided to stay in and Leech Seed on the Zapdos. Like I said, even if I had like the HP Ice or Heat Wave like that, I can just eat it anyway, because Shaman, even without Spadef Bulk, is really bulky. So he's going to Volt Switch out here into the Gardevoir, and I'm actually just going to go for the Sea Flare here, because I knew that if this thing was Scarfed, then I was kind of in trouble, because that would outspeed the Marowak, and really my only thing to be able to take a Scarf hit from this thing through my Shaman and basically my Shaman. So trying to wear this thing down as much as possible was kind of my plan. So I just go for this Heat Flare, try to get as much damage as I can, as he actually tricks here. So that actually was really, really good for me, because now my Marowak outspeeds his entire team. I'm not really sure why he decided to go for that. I guess if he decided to stay in and like Moonblast or Psychic or something, then he would lose his, then like I would be able to stall it out anyway. So it does make sense. This Shaman actually does kind of 6-0 him if he's not careful. I mean, doesn't 6-0 the Zapdos, but even still I can stall it out quite nicely as well. But yeah, this Shaman actually beats him pretty bad with the Volcanion gone. So it makes sense for him to trick me, because I can't stall out like any of his team anymore. But him losing his Scarf was actually really, really good for me, because now if I do get a chance to do Baton Pass on my Marowak later, then it does outspeed. So I figured there was a chance he could do that, but I was really just going for the damage, and it happened to work out the way it did. So here I'm actually going to go for the Leech Seed. I knew that the Muck was probably going to switch in, either the Muck or the Zapdos, because both can take Seed Flares. So, and I knew he wouldn't stay in just to let his Gardevoir die. So I do predict that and go for the Leech Seed, and now I do switch out into the Marowak, or not the Marowak, I mean the Venomoth, I believe. And here I was kind of risking the sleep turns, because this thing was only, this was its second turn of sleep, I believe. So I was kind of banking on him staying asleep at this point, as he actually dies to Leech Seed. And here I'm going to put the Zapdos to sleep. And like I said, this was really, really risky, because his Muck could have woken up and killed me with a Fire Blast, but it was in my favor, and even if I wasn't able to pull this off, then I could always go into the Gallade and do my little strategy there, because now with the Scarf gone on Gardevoir, then bulk up Gallade kind of went to town, especially with the, well, the Zapdos wouldn't have been asleep, but even still, the Zapdos wouldn't be able to do too much, and Ice Punch would do way more than he'd be able to do to me. So I do Baton Pass with the sub to the Marowak. This Gardevoir is not going to be able to live anything from this thing, as I do just go for the Fire Punch, because I don't want to take the Flare Blitz recoil. He does go into the Lop here, and this is where I do go for the Flare Blitz, so I reveal that, and so I reveal I have both at that point. So yeah, the Lop's going to go down, and here at this point I decide to go for the SD, because I knew that just based on how he was playing the Zapdos, and how he was definitely HP Ice with the Shaman, this thing, there was like no way this thing had any way to hit me outside of Drill Peck, and even then, like that, like Marowak is too bulky to die from a Drill Peck from a Zapdos. So I'm able to just go for the safe Swords Dance here, because I know it can't hit me even if it wakes up. And he stays asleep this time, but now I'm just gonna go for the Fire Punch, because this thing, like I said, this thing can't kill me. So just going for the Fire Punch is safe. If I'm able to kill it, great. If not, and it wakes up, it still can kill me anyway. So this Zapdos is dying anyway, as he decides to roost. I'm not really sure why, but it didn't really matter anyway. So Zapdos is going to go out to the Fire Punch, and now the Celebi is definitely not living a Fire Punch either. And we end up winning a boneless sweep over Parker and the North Carolina Tyranitarheels. A really good debut for us, for minors. I mean, I really can't ask for any more. A 5-0 and a Alolan Marowak gets the sweep. You don't really see that every day. So yeah, really good start for us in minors. I'm really, really excited for the rest of the season. I actually am making some team changes after this week. Of course, I will get into that in the next video we do for NPL. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and comment and all that fun stuff. I love your support. And yeah, thank you if you were cheering for the Tynamos. Thank you. Even if not, thank you for supporting my channel. It's all good. I love you just the same. But yeah, so I will see you in the next video, and goodbye.